welcome to the last lesson in Unit 4. In this lesson, we're going to go old school. In this lesson, it's all about your classic solve for x. So we're going to have a bunch of rational equations, meaning equations with fractions, and we have to solve for x. So these are examples of things you should have done in past math classes, but maybe it's been a long time or your teacher didn't get to it very well that year. So we're going to review some of these first in this first video. So once again, these are problems that you should have already done in past math classes. So, starting out, solving with fractions is gross. So the first step that we're always going to want to do is get rid of the denominator. So if I look at this problem, I have a denominator right here. Gross. I don't want a denominator. I want to get it out of the denominator. And if you look here from what you learned in junior high, anytime you want to get rid of something, you need to do the opposite. So if I have addition that I want to get rid of, I subtract. If I have multiplication I want to get rid of, I divide. Doing the opposite gets rid of it. So if I look at this denominator in this problem, it looks like it's dividing. That fraction bar means we're dividing that denominator. So if we're dividing, the way to get rid of division is multiplying. So I'm going to multiply by that denominator. And now you'll notice I have a glue term on top that matches a glue term on bottom, so those cancel. That's exactly what I wanted to have happen in the first place. I wanted them to go away. But we also need to remember, anytime we do something to one side of an equation, we need to do the same thing to the other side to keep the equation balanced. So I'm also going to multiply this side by x plus 4. So I've got an x on the left-hand side, I've got a 3/5 here, and an x plus 4. Well, once again, I have a denominator. I don't like denominators, so let's get rid of it. That's being divided, so to get rid of that denominator, I'm going to multiply. And now I have a 5 on top and a 5 on bottom, so they're going to cancel. But once again, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to multiply the other side by 5. So now I've got 5 times x equals 3 times x plus 4. That's what I'm left with. So we're now left with this equation that's kind of like the equations that you did in like junior high. So for this equation, we need to distribute very first. So 5 times x is 5x. Distribute that 3. So I got 3x plus 12. And now I'm going to start combining like terms. So I'm going to minus 3x to both sides. So I've got 2x equals 12. Divide by 2 on both sides. So I get x equals 6. Now we're almost done. Something that we have to be careful of in these problems. If you notice, my denominators went from being in the denominator to being in the numerator. So those denominators went from being down to being up. Anytime you move something from bottom up into the top, you have the possibility for getting what are called extraneous solutions, aka fake solutions or fake answers. So something that we always do for these kinds of problems is your check step. So you're going to take your answer here, x equals 6, plug it back into the equation, and do a check step. So I took my 6 and I plugged it back into the equation for x. So now I've got 6 on top. 6 plus 4 is 10 and 3/5. And if you want to double check by putting that into your calculator, we know that 6/10 is the same decimal as 3/5. Those are equal. So this checks out, which means that is my solution. I'm good. Okay, let's review one more time with B. We'll do this one. So we're going to start out by getting rid of our denominators, and I want you to practice this part. I'll get you started. Remember, x plus 8 is our denominator. It's being divided. So to get rid of it, I'm going to multiply, but I have to do it to both sides. So I want you to take it from here, cancel out those x plus 8s, and then get rid of your 3 denominator. So pause the video, try to get your equation to the point where you don't have any more denominators in it, and then push play and come back and see how you did. Welcome back. This is what you should have ended up with when we don't have any more denominators. So we need to finish solving this. So once again, I want you to pause the video and try to solve this all the way on your own. You're going to want to distribute, bring things into both sides, get an answer, and then don't forget to check your answer to see if it works. So plug your answer back into the equation, do that check step, and make sure it works. So pause the video, try to solve and check this problem. You should have gotten 37 as your answer, and when I plug that in and do my check step, I can type both those fractions into my calculator to see that they're the same decimal, so we know this checks out and it works. Okay, now that we've done all of that, I want you to try this last one for this video all on your own. So pause the video, get rid of all the denominators, simplify everything, combine everything, get an answer, and check it. And then come back and see how you did. Welcome back. You should have gotten a final answer of 35, which when we plug it back into the equation, we get 2 fractions, which we can type into our calculator to see that they're the same decimal. So, check step, that does work out. If you did not get 35, I would pause the video now to look through the work that I did so that you can figure out where you went wrong and fix it. In the next video, we'll start to do some harder examples for things with rational functions that we've been more dealing with this chapter rather than these simple ones from past years.